Hello, friends. This is a pretty chaotic time that we are living in right now, or it can feel like a pretty chaotic time. But what if I told you there was one question you could ask yourself, one simple question you could ask yourself that would help to guide you out of the chaos and into a deeper spiritual resiliency that lives inside of you? And based on that answer to that question, could bring about daily healing and growth necessary to meet this moment with courage and confidence. Well, that's what this video aims to do. My name is Miss Carol. I'm a former career teacher, now here with you, sharing everything that I've learned on my journey towards spiritual growth and healing and everything that I feel is necessary during these times. You know, it can often feel like we are in a constant battle. We are in a battle in our relationships. We are in a battle within our family dynamics. We are in a battle within, our communities. And you feel like you are in a battle, it can make you feel like you do not have any control over anything. But the key to understanding the what could feel like or what can be deemed as this time being chaotic is your ability to recognize and be aware of your emotional intelligence, because your emotional intelligence is the key to your spiritual resiliency. And there's one thing to ask yourself when determining what is my level of spiritual resilience, and that is, how and why am I identified with my emotion? What have I chosen to identify with? The reason why this spirituality can be a little confusing and a little, excuse me, can be a little challenging to navigate is because it's so paradoxical. We have our emotions, and we often classify our emotions into categories based on the way they make us feel. These emotions make us feel bad. These emotions make us feel good. So therefore, these emotions are good and these emotions are bad. But there's no such thing as that. All emotions are necessary. All emotions serve the same purpose, and that is to help us to see metaphorically where we exist on a spiritual plane, because we are all going towards and we are all on a journey of awakening and spiritual development. Our emotions are our signposts to help us guide us towards that path. And that is the key. Building resilience is understanding that you can have an emotion, but you don't have to identify with it. And that is such a liberating mindset shift to awaken to, because it creates such a wonderful separation in your mind, in your heart, to be open to all of the opportunities that exist around us at any given moment. We are often indoctrinated, and it's a strong word to use, but I will use it. We are often indoctrinated within certain structures, like our family, before we even get the opportunity to really decide who and what we want to be. We are labeled as rebellious, we're labeled as greedy, selfish, smart, generous, we have controlling, we have all of these labels that the people who love us attempt to place upon us. It's not for us. It is so they can have a better understanding of us, so they know how to treat us. But it actually limits us and has nothing to do with us. This is one of the wonderful reasons why I'm so, thankful that I didn't grow up under the guise of a religious faith. Neither of my parents were very religious. We never really went to church on Sundays. I mean, I remember going to church with my best friend Jamoka and her family, but the only reason why I went to church with them is because after church, they always went to McDonald's and we never ate out. My mom always cooked for us when we were younger. And so it was such a treat to go to McDonald's. But I've known people from all backgrounds of religion and no backgrounds: Islam, Judaism, Catholicism, Christian. I even had a friend for a brief time when I lived in LA who was Scientologist. You name it, a Mormon, you name it, I've been exposed to it. And this is not a judgment on religion at all, because, however you are translating the experiences and the emotions that are attached to those experiences, however you are translating them and transmuting them in order to guide you on your spiritual path, I support 1000%. And, that's the reason why we can feel a little lost and a little chaotic, is because we really don't have anything to keep us on that path. So what do we attach ourselves to? What do we identify with? We identify with our emotions. And our emotions are wonderful signposts, but they are fleeting. They are meant to come and go. They are not meant for us to stand in them. They are meant for us to see them and to recognize them, and for us to stay aware and be curious about them, but to not keep ourselves stuck in the relevance of them. There's this great quote by Zora Neale Hurston that I really love, and it's I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along the lines of, you're jumping up and down in your foot tracks, in your foot in your footprints, and basically, you are ignoring or not allowing yourself to move down a path. Instead, you are just jumping up and down in the spot that you are in. And I love that quote so much because it speaks to what we allow ourselves to become when we identify with our emotions. Again, we have this kind of dogmatic approach to life, and dogma is a firmly held belief without question. We approach raising our children this way. We approach, the way how we interact in our romantic relationships this way, our friendships this way. But beliefs are just habitual thoughts. That's really all beliefs are. There is a certain power that they hold when they can bring you out of whatever emotional and mental patterns you find yourself in. But, it's just about recognizing, okay, have I identified with this sadness that I'm feeling, or am I just feeling this emotion? And another way to think about it is, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman. That is the way that I translate the world. That is my perception onto the world. But when I get into a meditative place, when I get into a space of appreciation, a space of gratitude, those things disappear. I am no longer a woman. I am no longer Black. I am no longer an American. I am a spirit on this earthly plane, or this realm. And those things just kind of disappear, because it's such a liberating thing to recognize that I don't have to choose to be identified with these things, that these are just the gifts that were bestowed upon me, so that way, hopefully, my experiences that are unique from my footprints could help to guide others along their spiritual path. And, I really want to emphasize the difference between having an emotion and being identified with an emotion, identity with anything, identity with what city you're from, identity with what family you're from, identity with whether you have a romantic partner or not, identity with however. This moment of chaos is calling us in such a deep way to go to that deep place spiritually, to widen our perspective on things. And I really feel humbled by that call. I really feel in service to those who came before us, my ancestors, those that I knew, those that I didn't know, your ancestors, because on a spiritual plane, they are all one and the same. So here are a couple practical things, practical mind shifts that you can say to yourself, or you can allow them to guide you through whatever habitual identifiers you find yourself in. So we often say things like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this emotion. I'm stuck in this relationship. I'm stuck in this job. But flip that into, I am learning. I'm learning. This is a challenge, an opportunity for me to learn, to overcome this obstacle, to overcome this, because all issues boil down to two things: trust and service, trust and surrender. What is the depth of your ability to trust the universe, to trust the ancestors, to trust the energetic field, consciousness, to trust that has your best interest at heart and loves you more than you could ever love yourself and understand yourself? This is impossible. This is another one, This is impossible. Flip that. Change that mindset into, this is a chance for me to adapt. On a previous video, I talked about the difference between focus and observation. And this is where that comes into play. You can you can observe anything, but our ability to become focused on, again, the path in which we want to go is going to ultimately allow the solutions to come to the surface. I heard this thing that really struck me earlier this morning as I was doing my meditation, and it was, you cannot find something that you believe is lost. If you believe that your soul is lost, that your spirit is not with you, you're not going to be able to find it. You really do have to surrender to the uncertainty, the unknowing, and for your ability for that solution to just kind of come over you. I'll never bounce back from this. Switch that to, I can take one step at a time. When we are on a path towards spiritual health, towards growing, it is important that we give ourselves the grace and the kindness and the compassion that we're not going to have it all figured out in one day, in 1 week, however long. We really do have to be patient with ourselves, because a lot of this trauma and the wounds that we are carrying comes from a generation of religious dogma, a generations of deeply affirmed beliefs that were indicative and that supported the time in which they originated. But now we have the opportunity to be free from all of those things. So one step at a time. Here's a big one. I am alone. Switch that to, I am supported, because we are never alone. Excuse me. And that is a goal and intention of this channel, is to be with people, be with spirits who are on this journey. And it can feel like an alienated journey, because there are a lot of things that you are going to have to surrender. You're going to have to surrender certain people, relationships, situations, environments, because they are not conducive to your spiritual health. But you are always supported. Your ability to let something else go makes room for something more meaningful and more aligned with you to come into your life. But when you stay focused so much on one thing, you can't see or can't observe or can't receive what is attempting to come into your life because you are so focused over here. And here's the last one. This one is probably the one that we struggle with the most. And it is this idea of being a victim, you know. I'm a victim of this, or I am a victim of that. And I probably will make a video specifically about victimness and victimhood because we are so saturated with it in our culture. But switch that to I am in control. What do you have control over? Again, you have control over the things that you choose to take into your body. What are the foods that you are eating that will support your mind, your body, your spirit? What is the stimulus that you are taking in? You know, I can't watch scary movies anymore. I used to try to think that I could listen to certain music and watch certain movies and it wouldn't have an effect on me. You know, I can't do that. I've seen certain movies like American History X. I don't ever need to see that movie again because it left such a deep imprint on me that it takes me to a place of unaligned spiritual reality that I just don't need to go to. You know, we often focus on things that are quote unquote true because that's what we were told to do. We were told to focus on what is true. Okay. Yes, that is true. There are a lot of things that are true, but are those things going to bring you into ultimate joy, ultimate peace, ultimate freedom? You know, you can focus on cancer or you can because it's true, but is that going to bring you more health? You know, you can focus on or you can observe anything and it will then become a part of your reality. It's these little shifts that we have to make in our mindset in order to grow and accept the journey that we are on. And I've decided to launch a emotional intelligence, emotional awareness workshop, and I will leave a link for that in the description. Fill out the form, ask me a question, and then I will kind of base your answers on the material that I come up with. You know, we really do need to start surrounding ourselves with like-minded people because we are out here. If that wasn't the case, this country would have been burned to the ground a long time ago. But it's about living with the conviction of this is the path that I'm on, and I am committed to practicing the tools that are necessary to cultivate these things in my everyday life. This is chaos. It is chaos. And it wants to get your attention. It's like a toddler that's throwing a temper tantrum. There are so many adults who are just throwing temper tantrums right now. And what we are called to, what we are all called to, is to grow deeper into our spirits and learn who and what we are actually capable of. But in order to build that resilience, in order to get to that place, we really do need to push a lot of things that do not serve us to the side. And that can be challenging. So I am here for you. You are supported. You are not alone. I am proud of the work that you are doing, that you are continuing to show up. And I'll say one last thing that is hitting me right now. And we all feel called to do something in this time of chaos. But again, shift your mindset into when you are showing up as your most healed self, as your kindest self, as a person who is willing to actively listen. That is you serving the purpose of whatever chaos is going on right now. It doesn't have to be this big, ornate thing. You showing up as your most healed self is the best thing that you can do for the world, for your community, for your neighbors, for everyone, because you're acting in accordance with the knowledge that you have and being a demonstration for what is possible. Again, reach out to me if you have any questions. I am here to serve. I am humbled to serve. I will see you on the next video. Please watch this next one. Be well, my friends.